Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Center for Spiritual Living in the heart of Las Cruces. We're going to go ahead and get started with a couple of songs. If you'd like to stand, you may. If not, that's fine. We're going to start off being the light of the world on this beautiful morning.
Shine so bright, and I shine, and I shine, and I shine so bright. You are a light, you are a light, you are a light in this world. You are a light, you are a light, you are a light in this world. You shine, and you shine, and you shine so bright, and you shine, and you shine, and you shine so bright. We are a light, we are a light, we are a light in this world. We are a light. Shine so bright, and we shine, and we shine, and we shine so bright. Love myself the way I am. There's nothing I need to change. I'll always be the perfect me. There's nothing to rearrange. I'm beautiful and capable of being the best me I can. And I love myself just the way I am. I love you the way you are. There's nothing you need to do. When I feel the love inside myself, it's easy to love you. Behind your fears, your rage and tears, I see your shining star. And I love you just the way you are. Love the world the way it is, 'cause I can clearly see that all the things I judge are done by people just like me. So till the birth of peace on earth, the only love can bring, I'll help it grow by loving everything. Love myself the way I am, but still I want to grow. But change outside can only come when deep inside I know I'm beautiful and capable of being the best me I can. And I love myself just the way I am. Yes, I love myself just the way I am.
Thank you, everyone. Good morning. My name's Teresa Valenzuela, and I'm a practitioner here at the Center for Spiritual Living in the heart of Las Cruces. And I have to catch my breath. So I'm very still. I can feel those birth pangs of peace on this earth right at this moment. Mm-hmm. Can you feel that as well? The love that we have started here in this room just this morning is already helping us, guide us, and seeing that peace is truly, truly here and growing. And so our vision here as well is a world and loving partnership for the good of all. And I welcome anyone visiting for the first time. There are welcome packets at both exit doors, and there's also a certificate in there to visit our wonderful Wisdom Through the Pages bookstore. So please look into your goodie bag, and we're really so happy that you are here. We are growing in leaps and bounds with activities here at the center, and so we have our calendar has transformed itself into half a page of easy reading to find out all of the events that happen weekly, and then also some goodies in the back of more information. So please pick up a yellow sheet if you're interested of what's happening, what's going on here in the month of October. We're also collecting luggage for foster kids and coats for our free coat giveaway. Winter is right around the corner. Of course, I'm sure if you're from up north, you think it's still summer here, but it is getting cooler. And thanks to all who helped with our booth at Pride yesterday. Our minister was there, and she's here ready to share her words of wisdom, so thank you all. And after service at 12:30, we're going to have a Sunday Fun Day inspirational rock painting event to do some fellowship. There's also our fall treasure sale the last weekend in October, so start collecting your things. I have for the last 2 months. I might have to move out of my house, but it's ready to come. As soon as the bins are labeled, that will help. When you come, you'll know where to put your donations in these bins, and that will definitely help our amazing volunteers who get that ready for our treasure sale. Let's see. Oh, and the Sunday after the treasure sale, the last Sunday in October, we're going to have a guest speaker who's never been here before. Ooh. Yeah. Woo. No, I'm not being facetious, really. Dina Everson. We're going to be here with Unity as well, and after service, there's going to be a workshop called Bigger Than a Bread Box. So step out of your daily routine and go beyond the boundaries of your current thought programs right through this amazing workshop. I also want to, this isn't on the paper, so I'm surprising Reverend Bonnie, but in July, our tithe recipient was Healing Broken Wings. It was a dream to put together to buy and furnish and provide a transitional home for men in the community who are coming out of either rehab, some kind of addiction program, and a place to live as they transition back into our community where they will be working and having a stable place to live and also have resources. So thank you for sending our tithe to them in July. Yesterday, I attended their ribbon cutting, and so they're now open. They're connected with Mesilla Valley Hospital, so they will start having I don't want to say clients, but people that have a safe place to go and change the direction, the trajectory of their life. So thank you, the Center for Spiritual Living. We believe in the power of prayer, which we call spiritual mind treatment or affirmative prayer. Please fill out a prayer request, which can be found in the pockets on the chair backs. There is a God can on your way out into the social hall, or you can drop it into your prayer request into the offering plate. And there's also our prayer request button on our amazingly beautiful website. If you haven't been there, please visit. And every Tuesday afternoon, our prayer team of all the New Thought ministers and practitioners, we gather in a Zoom room, and we pray with you to see that change in your life that can come about. Prayer is absolutely powerful. And also there's some gratitude cards in there. Let us know how these prayers are rolling out for you. We love to rejoice and remind ourselves as we do prayer that there are answers and there is a solution. So now it is time for song, silence, and prayer.
Take a breath, close your eyes, go within, deep inside. The gift is always there to find. Open up, say a prayer, feel the peace that's waiting there, and spirit is never far behind. Take a breath, close your eyes, go within, deep inside. The gift is always there to find. Open up, say a prayer, feel the peace that's waiting there, and spirit is never far behind. Take a breath, close your eyes, go inside. Take a breath, close your eyes, go inside. Take a breath, close your eyes, go inside.
So I invite you in this moment to go inside and just take that deep breath of relaxation into this moment, knowing that there is one divine creative mind, one spirit, and that we live through all of those feelings of kindness and joy, abundance, through love and law. And so just opening up our hearts at this moment, feeling that oneness of love, that continued birth of peace, not only within our community, but just radiating out into the world. And opening our hearts to these words and through song and through Reverend Bonnie's talk this morning, through our fellowship after service, through seeing friends dear to our hearts that have surprised us today, just knowing that it is already done, that perfection of life. We accept, we receive, and we give thanks. And releasing these words into the universe, knowing it is already done, and so it is. Both of our readings today is from The Science of Mind, the big book. Page 52. There is no doubt about human immutability and the availability of the law. The law is infinite. It is right where we happen to be at any given time. It occupies all space and fills every form with differentiations of itself. The law also flows through us because it flows through everything. And since we exist, it must be in and through us. This is the crux of the whole matter. infinite and immutable as the law is, ever present and available as it must be, the potential possibility of all human probability, it must flow through us in order to manifest for us. And then on page 56, Ernest tells us, I am a center in the divine mind, a point of God-conscious life, truth, and action. My affairs are divinely guided and guarded into right action, into correct results. Everything I do, say, or think is stimulated by the truth. There is power in this word that I speak, because it is of the truth, and it is the truth. There is perfect and continuous right action in my life and my affairs. All belief in wrong action is dispelled and made negative. Right action alone has power, and right action is power, and power is God. The living Almighty Spirit, this Spirit animates everything that I do, say, or think. Ideas come to me daily, and these ideas are divine ideas. They direct me and sustain me without effort. I am continuously directed. I am compelled to do the right thing at the right time, to say the right word at the right time, to follow the right course of all times. All suggestion of age, poverty, limitation, or unhappiness is uprooted from my mind and cannot gain entrance to my thought. I am happy, well, and filled with perfect life. I live in the Spirit of truth and am conscious that the Spirit of truth lives in me. My word is the law unto its own manifestation, and will bring to me or cause me to be brought to its fulfillment. There is no unbelief, no doubt, no uncertainty. I know, and I know that I know. Let every thought of doubt vanish from my mind, that I may know the truth, and the truth may make me free. And so it is.
Okay, so we're starting our month of talking about finances. Yeah, okay. It's interesting trying to find songs that are appropriate to that theme. But I did find this one, and it makes me smile, so I hope you like it too. And Bob, if you'll put the words up, you guys can sing along with me if you'd like. Once you get the hang of it, it's pretty easy. It's called Magic Penny.
Love is something if you give it away, give it away, give it away. Love is something if you give it away, you end up having more. It's just like a magic penny, hold it tight and you won't have any. Lend it, spend it, and you'll have so many that they'll roll all over the floor. For love is something if you give it away, give it away, give it away. Love is something if you give it away, you end up having more. So, how about money is something if you give it away, give it away, give it away. Money is something if you give it away, you end up having more. It's just like a magic penny, hold it tight and you won't have any. Lend it, spend it, and you'll have so many that they'll roll all over the floor. For money is something if you give it away, give it away, give it away. Money is something if you give it away, you end up having more.
So what's something else that multiplies if you give it away? Joy. Peace, joy. Okay. So
Peace is something if you give it away, give it away, give it away. Peace is something if you
cute. Thank you, Sarah. I remember that song from somewhere. I don't know where. Kindergarten. Teresa was like beaming back there doing her kindergarten song. Well, good morning, everyone. I'm Reverend Bonnie, the community spiritual leader here at the center. And like Sarah said, we are kicking off a new month and a new topic. And our topic this month is Living Everyday Wonder with a focus on finances, and it had the subtitle, Swimming in the Infinite Ocean. So I thought that was an interesting thing to consider. And I know that when we hear the word finances, especially when you are at church or at a spiritual entity, you probably go, here we go again, we don't want to hear this topic anymore. Or some of you might have a great experience with what you learn here about prosperity. Maybe you took Prosperity Plus, you're like, yay, we're going to learn more about our prosperity and abundance in the world. Either way, I think here at this center, it seems like we've been talking about money and finances a lot lately, more than usual. We have our legacy committee that kicked off and has been talking to us about where we can leave our legacy of finances so that this teaching is supported and continues beyond our experience in this building. We have the Burn the Note project that's going on to get the mortgage paid off so that this building becomes ours 100%, which is a very exciting goal. And we have our weekly reminder every week when I get up here and tell you that we're a tithing community. I personally tithe to where I get my spiritual food, and the center has a tithe committee that gets together and finds places within our community that support our principles and teaching to encourage the support of other people, and that's where we give 10% of our tithe every month. So as we kick off this month with that focus of living everyday wonder being on finances, it was the subtitle that said, Swimming in the Infinite Ocean, that gave me something different to think about. Because when we say just the word finances, we often think of just money and managing our money. But when we say money, to me, I look at that as a tool. It's something that we as humans have created in order to bring about the resources that we need in our lives. And to broaden our finances is to broaden our supply, is to broaden what it is that we have to work with in order to bring that into our lives. So when I thought about swimming in an infinite ocean, I visualized an infinite ocean of supply, an infinite ocean of good, whatever that looks like and however it shows up. Because our good and our supply really comes from one place, and that is source. And we can think about it as food or shelter or our daily needs and sometimes our wants. But ultimately, that supply of our good is source expressing in and through our lives. Because everything is God expressing. So I pictured it like little rings with finances in the middle, supply, and then source. But it's all within that one. And finances don't have any value unless we as humans give it value. It is something that we have created as a form of exchange so that we get the goods and services that we need, that we can provide goods and services. And throughout human history, it's been shells, gold, silver, paper, and now we have all these wireless transactions where we're not even exchanging really anything tangible. So it's the value we give it that creates that value, but the true value is behind it, which is the source of all of that supply. So when I say finances, what I'm focusing on this month is that we humans have created this way of moving supply around, of exchanging things, but it's more than that. It's the source behind that tool that we have created. So then I started picturing it kind of like the inside structure, a scaffolding or a backbone that is there, the skeleton upon which we overlay all of our health and well-being. And I say that because as humans, we've created this system, and our finances tend to dictate where we live, what we eat, how we transport ourselves, and literally how our health and well-being is cared for. Many of us have access to health care and dental care based on our finances. And how much is available to us correlates to our finances. And I think because of that, we start to see our finances and our financial state as the source of our good. In Unity every week, they say, God is good, and the response is, do you all know? All the time. The Fillmores and Ernest Holmes studied with Emma Curtis Hopkins, and one of the lines that she said is, your good is your God. And when I heard that, I've had to contemplate that a lot. Your good is your God. Because I wonder if she meant that everything that we think is good in our life, we turn into God, essentially. We see it as God, including our finances. Or that good or God is the true source behind all the good that we experience, including our finances. So you hear what I'm saying there? It's kind of which came first, the chicken or the egg idea. So back in 2001, I went to my first Edwene Gaines workshop, and it was in Unity at an Albuquerque Unity church up there. And it was the first time I'd been to one of her prosperity workshops. And after being there all day, I decided I needed to do some more work on my experience, my inner and outer experience with my relationship to money and finances. And so as it goes, it just so happened that at the same time, the university, UNM, was providing a workshop for staff and faculty about how to plan for retirement and how to manage your finances. So it's dovetailed with the work that I was doing once I heard Edwene Gaines speak. And the woman that gave that workshop was named Elizabeth Lucero. And I really trusted her. I liked what she had to say. So afterward, I went up and said, what does it cost to work with you? And she said, nothing. I was like, you can't get any better than that. And we started a relationship. And she helped me to look at what I was doing with my finances. And she had a computer program. And I know some of you who have taken classes with me have heard this before. But she would put in everything that I brought in, wherever finances came in from. And then she would type in everything that went out, including like how many cups of coffee I bought a week. And then she'd calculate it and tell you where you stood. And when we first did that, I was $3,000 under a year what I was spending. So I was behind about $3,000 a year. So again, I realized I needed to do some work. I took it into prayer. I looked at my inner issues, my issues around money. What did I think about it? How did I believe about it? What did I think about people who had it? I had some judgment there that I had to look at. How did I talk about it? I didn't talk about it. How uncomfortable was I with this topic? So I started journaling and doing a lot of that inner work. At the same time, I started doing the outer work. I looked at where money was going and how I could consolidate some things. I changed insurance companies, did a lot of different things. And I started the practice of tithing. And at that time, it was very scary because, as I said, already I was putting out $3,000 more than I had to spend. And tithing feels like and looks like you're putting out more. But Edwene Gaines had challenged us to 6 months, give it a try and see what happens. So I was willing to give it the 6 months. And I started the practice of tithing. And 6 months later, I went back to Elizabeth Lucero. We typed all the stuff in, all the changes. And this time I came out $3,000 ahead at the end of the year. So that's a $6,000 change. And I was like, okay, this stuff is working. This is really working. And of course, I've kept going with the work that I do in that area in my life. And so because of that, in the work that I did with Elizabeth, I gained a deep trust in her. And when my mother passed, she helped us with the finances there and everything that happened with the inheritance. So about a month ago, when she passed away, it was quite a blow to me because I had pictured her as being the guide into my retirement. And I trusted her, and I was like, now what do I do? Another one of my guides, the people that I was seeing as a mentor, had left the planet. So once again, I had to remind myself that God, good, love, is my source and is all of my supply. I had to remind myself that I live in an abundant universe and that I'm swimming in that infinite ocean of good. I had to remind myself that the providers of my pay are not my source. The person overseeing and managing my investments is not my source. My investments are not my source. That the person advising me and guiding me is not my source. Source works through all those avenues, but it is source, it is God behind all that that is working in my life and is bringing about that greater good in my life. And source, or God, is greater than any institution that I work for or that works for me. So I have had to really work on that again, because I didn't expect her to leave so soon. But I realized that my good, the source of my good, my God, is mine no matter what avenue it's coming to, even if that avenue changes and looks different than I expected. And a lot has changed in the last 2.5 years, as you all know. I think I'm not the only one that's had a lot of change, excuse me, in the last 2.5 years. And I've noticed that since the pandemic, the beginning of it in March of 2020, I think there's been a real reset in our priorities and a reset in our values, including how we value time, energy, and our assets and how they're used, including money. I came to realize that I can live on half the income that I was prior to then and still enjoy life. I still had my garden. I had lots of books that I wanted to read. I loved being outside more. I liked the slower pace that we were given there for a while. I enjoyed tea time at 3 every afternoon with myself. And that was a lot of fun. It was a whole different way of being in the world, but I realized I was surviving. I was fine. I was actually thriving. So it was very interesting to me this month to read a whole different take in the Science of Mind magazine on money and the purpose of money in our lives. The title of this article is "The Purpose of Money is Relationship." I was like, what? I have never thought of money as having the purpose of relationship. So I encourage you to read the whole article if you haven't, and I imagine you're discussing it in your Monday class at some point when you do the spiritual circle. I'm sure this article will come up. But for me, to find a whole new, brand new way of thinking about something is really unusual. I've been reading so long and doing so much self-help for so many years. Usually it's like, okay, there's that again. There's a different way of looking at that. This is a whole brand new way. I had never thought of money as having the purpose of relationship. So this is part of what they say. Money is the jealous sister of love. While love always treats us gently, money is quite demanding. It insists that we remain in relationship with other human beings. How much of your day is devoted to engaging in relationships that have to do with money? Making money and then spending it takes up more of our time than we would like to admit. There are many things we can accomplish without the assistance of other human beings. Making and spending money are not among them. We need each other to conduct our financial affairs. Most ironically, whenever love is absent, money steps in to take its place and keeps us in relationship with others, especially those for whom we have little love. Yeah, isn't that different? It was a whole different way, and I had to think about that. What were they saying? This is just a whole new idea. And then I started thinking about how in order to earn money in the days when we go to work, when we go somewhere, we're often engaging with people that we wouldn't normally choose to engage with. We're meeting people that we wouldn't normally meet because they're not in our sphere until we go to that place of employment. And then if you think about where you spend your money, whether it's in a grocery store, clothing store, restaurant, you're again engaging as you exchange with these people, with people who are not in your social sphere, usually. They're different people than what would normally come into your life. So in that way, the money is moving you into different relationships than you would normally have. And sometimes in those experiences, those people are more challenging for us to love. I'm seeing some nods, so I think there's some of you relating to this. So that's where I think this article is talking about. And I started thinking about what happened 2.5 years ago at the beginning of the pandemic. I think one of our greatest challenges was how to remain in relationship with other human beings. And I know that there were many people who were considered essential workers and still had to go to work and still were out there in the workforce. But there were a large number of people all around the world who money came to them from the government or other ways so that they would stay home and not engage with other people in the usual way that you had to get money into your life. They were paid to stay in place. We were paid to be separate from each other. And many people started ordering their food and having it delivered to their front door, or they had it packaged up, they drove, and they stuck it in their trunk for them. So there was very little interaction even in the spending of our money. Many people started buying their goods online, and it would show up at your doorstep. So again, that role that money had of bringing us in contact with other people had disappeared during the pandemic. And I know that I've heard from many people that it was the lack of relationships that people were hurting from almost more than the lack of money. Though that ability to relate. And so I had never seen money as a tool to keep us connected, and yet in some ways, if I think back over what happened during this time, it really was. It was a way to get us out there and a way to get us interacting with each other. So for me, that was one of the new things. It was a new concept. And because relationships to money and to humans changed in the last 2.5 years, we had to get creative about how we related with each other. Because money was no longer that impetus to either get out and go to work or to how we spent our money. And it made me think about what happens when people retire. Because I've talked to, many of you are retired, and I've talked to many people about how difficult that adjustment is. And I never thought about it as your money's showing up, but you don't have to go out and interact with people to get it anymore. And that interaction with people and those relationships, I think, is part of the adjustment that happens. We have to find other ways to connect with people after retirement. And so here's another relational thing that they put in here. Money leads us to healing. If it were not for money, most of us would never associate with many of the people we meet on a daily basis. If we didn't need money at all, we would drift off to live in retreat from life and surround ourselves with the kinds of people who never challenge us to love them. We would quit our jobs and vegetate with clones of ourselves, people who look and act like us. What a boring existence that would be. And once again, I started thinking about what happened during the pandemic. And I know many people created pods. They had pods of a few people that they were comfortable interacting with. And usually it was family or good friends. And they worked out ways to maybe sit 6 feet apart on their back porch or whatever. But these pods were the only people they were interacting with. They didn't go outside of that pod to engage with other people. It felt safe in that little pod. And it's, the article says, they weren't being challenged to love them. Well, I know sometimes our family and friends can challenge us to love them. I know that probably the pods didn't create perfection in all of that. But what they're talking about here, I think, is the kind of challenge that we get when it's due to newness, something different, people who are different, diversity that's out there that we engage with on a daily basis without even really thinking about it when we're doing these exchanges that didn't take place when we were staying home. So the author also says, hooray for money. It is money that draws us into those relationships where healing needs to occur. It is money that takes us to the places in our lives where we need to learn to love. And further on, our human tendency is to look for love where we hope it will be easy to find. Money ensures that we look for it in the only place where we can find it, which is on the other side of our judgments and our fears. Money ensures that we look for it in the only place where we can find it, which is on the other side of our judgments and our fears. Again, for me, that was a brand new thought about money. I'd never seen it as something that causes me to engage with people so I get over my fears, my judgments, and have those interactions. Is this new for you? It was just amazing. It's cool, isn't it? And then I started thinking about many of us, in order to travel, it takes money. And travel also takes us into different countries, different languages. We engage with people who are different from us. And again, with the pandemic, we weren't traveling, we were staying in our little pods, so we weren't having these experiences. So there was another new thought in this article, a little less new, maybe, than some. Money follows love. When the quality of love becomes the motive behind what you're doing, there always seems to be enough money to support the unselfish expression. Money comes not by loving what you're doing, but by loving those you serve by doing what you're doing. And then she concludes, money will always support the expression of greater love. And so we do teach that if you set an intention, you feel your heart calling you to do something, that when you do that, the money will follow. That's part of what we teach, right? But I'd never thought about it in that way, that it's not that it's doing what I want, that my heart is like pulling me forward. It's the love that I have for the people I'm serving while I'm doing what I love that's bringing that support from the universe. And so that added a little different twist for me in regard to how it is that this stuff works. And it made me think about it in a whole different way. So again, I think about what happened in light of this pandemic in the last 2.5 years and how things changed, and I started thinking about the center here and how we handled it. And I know that when we shut those doors and we switched over to YouTube services, the board and I consciously, Bob and I remember having this discussion, we said, God is our source. We love and appreciate all of you. We love that you show up on Sunday. We love that you put something in the offering plate, but we knew that was not our source, that God was our source. And we affirmed that together. We held that conviction, and I saw the universe support this center in a way that many centers were not supported. And I'm not saying they didn't have that philosophy. I'm just saying I saw the evidence of remembering where our source was here at the center. Remembering that God is our supply, and that love and those connections were so important. So we shifted how we were going to get them, which was through phone calling. The board and I started calling people, talking to people, checking in with people. I had longer conversations during that 2 years with some of you than I'd had just hello on Sunday. There was a deepening in the connection because it was over the phone or through Zoom and FaceTime. So we opened to guidance, we continued to thrive, and we continued the loving and the connecting that was really key for what it is that we're about here at the center. And the money followed. And so I pictured it kind of like if you've ever waited for someone. Have you ever been sitting somewhere waiting for someone to come? Have you gone to the airport to pick someone up? And if you go to the El Paso airport, you're standing at the bottom of those escalators. You're waiting to see their feet hit the top of the escalators as they come down. Or you could be at a restaurant and you're watching the street, waiting for them to come down the street. You're focused in that direction, and then, boop, they tap your shoulder and they're right there behind you. Have you ever had that experience? Maybe they took the elevator or went down the other escalator and you're looking down the wrong side of the airport. Or maybe they drove in the back of the restaurant and came through instead of coming down the street. And that's how I see how it is that Source works in our lives. We sometimes get focused. It's coming from here. It's coming from this direction only. And we all of a sudden are like, hello, there's something over here if we pay attention. And so when we think about finances and supply, I think it's important to broaden our focus to that 360 degree. Watch for it everywhere. all around you. And that's when I think again about swimming in that infinite ocean of possibilities for our good. It's all around. It's not just from one source. The supply of our good is source, and it shows up from places that we don't even expect it. And so as we think about this month, focusing on finances, I encourage you to think about these ideas that good finances always lead with love. Think about leading with love and all those exchanges you have. Anytime you're buying something, anytime you're in a restaurant, anytime you're giving or taking money, think about it in terms of an exchange of love. That this has pulled you there to have a relationship with that person in some way. Remember that the true source of all supply is God, is the source itself. So watch for that 360 degrees all around you. What are you swimming through? What's showing up in your life from places? And look for those beliefs that get to shift about how it is that money works in our lives. Think about these different ideas that are coming through, and there's probably a lot more because we've been so focused on this narrow way of seeing it. See how it is that money leads us to connect with each other, especially those outside of our box, outside of our comfortable little pods. And when you do, remember to have that love go right along with that exchange. I think it's going to shift how we interact and how we see the people that we're getting services from and that we are providing and giving to. And it's part of what demonstrates our oneness then. We feel it more when we're remembering that this exchange is part of the love exchange. And finally, I think it's important to tap into the joy of giving. That opportunity to give, and it doesn't matter how large or small, it's the giving and it's that exchange between us that brings joy into our lives. Because God and good is our source, and good is our God. So we need to play with that for a little bit. Your good is your God. Your good is your love, because God and love are interchangeable. And we are always, always, always swimming in that infinite ocean of our good. And so it is. Thank you. And so at this time, would the practitioners please surround the room? And let's just take a moment to go within and consider any places where there's discomfort that comes up from just hearing the word money or finances. And see if we can't broaden what that means. See that as a direct line to source and a direct line from our heart out, bringing love into the world. And as we see ourselves within the whole of source itself, within the whole of God expressing, we recognize the tool and all of the infinite ways that it's providing us with connection, whether we're giving or receiving. We open our hearts and minds to these new ideas, new ways of thinking. We call it new thought. So we take on these new thoughts and we allow ourselves a new perspective, and we celebrate the connections and the love that money brings into our lives, the opportunities, the people, and the love. And so I just speak my word into this great, amazing law that moves with us, through us, and manifests in our lives, knowing that it is good, knowing that all that we see and hear and feel and speak and experience is good, and our good is our God, and so it is. Thank you.
I'm going to do two short songs that I think go well together, and they're both just one verse each. One is called "Grateful" by Deborah Barber, and the other is "The Abundance Celebration." "The Abundance Celebration" by William Jack Fowler and Mitch Johnson.
I celebrate my abundance today. By giving this gift, I show my faith. As I open my heart, my world becomes a better place. I release all fear as I share gratefully. This love that I give always gives back to me. Knowing my oneness with everything else, I know that all that I give to myself. I celebrate my abundance today. By giving this gift, I show my faith. As I open my heart, my world becomes a better place. I release all fear as I share gratefully. This love that I give always gives back to me. Knowing my oneness with everything else, I know that all that I give to myself. Knowing my oneness with everything else, I know that all that I give to myself.
As usual, she just summed up my whole talk in her songs. Beautiful. Thank you so much. And part of the love that we share here is the love that we share among ourselves as we support our community. And Mary Lynn Brown sent a letter she would like me to read to you. Last week we had Randy's memorial, and that was a beautiful turnout in support of his life and celebration of his life. So this is a letter from Mary Lynn. To my CSL loved ones, you have all been so kind, loving, and supportive after Cody's passing. That was their son. You also gave Randy and me generous space as we tried to process the loss. Sadly, you have had to do the same with Randy's passing, and thank you again for that. I've not been back to the center since February. I love you all and want you to understand why. Randy and I were married for 35 years, but had been making music together for 37 years. That's more than half my life. It's been very hard for me to think of being on that stage without him. I'm so grateful that Miranda, Trevor, and Amarina were here with me last Sunday to help ease me back onto the stage. It's still not easy. I keep expecting Randy's drums and vocals to come in, but the ice has finally been cracked a bit. Perhaps I will find strength to contribute music here and there in the future. I'm so fortunate to have you all in my lives. Thank you again. Much love, Mary Lynn Brown. Isn't that sweet? Yeah. So the love that we share, I think, is the most important thing, and we just use our finances to help move it around and share. And so that is also the time that we're thinking about right now is where we are sharing this month. And this month, we are sharing 10% of all that comes into the center with Mesilla Valley Hospice. And I know from some of us in this room, that place shares a special place in our hearts. Hospice is the type of care and can be offered at home in an assisted living facility, nursing home, hospital, or hospice house like La Posada. Hospice is designed to bring physical and emotional comfort to a patient, as well as a spiritual support, if desired, when curative treatments are not working or are making the patient more uncomfortable. Hospice is also designed to provide the family with the support and relief they need. So this month, 10% of what comes through the center is going to support those that are working at hospice. So let's say together our affirmation. Divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. Thank you, God, in me. And we shall sing, I am so blessed. And I hope you feel it. Feel the blessings in your life.
I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed. so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed.
So please know that if you have offerings for the center, there's things at both, the little gold plates at both doors. We're not passing them around hand to hand right now. We're just trusting and knowing, and we are so grateful as we receive all the good that comes through. And last night, we interacted with many people at Pride, so again, thank you to those who helped. We sold over $450 worth of stuff out of our bookstore, which was an amazing way of moving some things along. So the flow is happening, and I'm just so grateful for the help and for the presence. We did talk to a lot of people. A lot of magazines got taken as well, and it shares with them our philosophy and our way of thinking. So thank you. Please remember that the practitioners, we have 3 stoles, I think, that I'm seeing. They are available to pray with you after the service. If there's anything you would like support in, you're blessing them as they bless you. So let's sing our closing song today.
Peace.
Will be the peace song. So stand if you're able or willing.